Jamie Paye, a.k.a. the Philly sports guy. No matter the game, the 76ers, the Eagles, the Flyers, the Phillies, Union, it's become your job, and I do mean a full-time job. Your job is to attend Philly sporting events. You're dressed in full regalia, full face paint, upwards of 150 events a year, I read. You're the one-time chimney sweep and masonry guy, now the Philly sports guy, Jamie Paye. Welcome to Fresh 24.
Thank you for having me, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here.
Bro, do you still work on the occasional chimney, or is that all done?
Every once in a while, I have some clients. I probably about 4 or 5 a year that I do on an annual basis.
Do you go to in full regalia, or you just you when you do that?
I'm just me when I do that. Back in the day when I had my own chimney business, I did offer like a Mary Poppins cleaning where I would go there dressed as Bert and do the whole dance and everything. But that was a really expensive cleaning. To have the Philly sports guy come clean your chimney would also probably be really expensive.
So I'm just trying to think, did they invite the neighbors to see you as Bert?
You know what? I've only ever had to do it one time, and they did not. It was just done for their kids.
All right, I'm not going to make you sing Chimney or any of that stuff.
Perfect.
I do want to
Usually
talk about what it is that you do. And of course, I certainly want to touch on how it all came to pass, what your life like is now, being the full-time sports fan. But I got to ask you, you're in an elevator, okay? Just looking like you do now as a regular guy, and somebody asks you, and you have, I don't know, you have 20 seconds to respond. What do you do for a living? What do you say?
That I am a social media influencer that deals with sports.
Oh, okay. So why would you state it that way and not I'm the Philly sports guy?
Uh, because I don't want anybody to assume that they would know what the Philly sports guy is. So I generalize it some. Most of the people, if I'm stuck in an elevator with somebody, there's usually a good chance that they know who I am already. Usually, like, are you that guy that I see on TV all the time? It's those types of questions that I get asked. But for the most part, I don't want to assume that anybody knows who I am, and I don't want sometimes trying to say, well, what is the Philly sports guy? Well, it's easier to show than to explain.
So with all the regalia and all the face paint and the persona that you get into, people, when you don't have that stuff going on, when you're totally out of context, I mean, you're going into a Wawa, somebody there recognizes you in the hoagie line?
100%.
Wow.
There is no more, and I'm not anonymous anymore in terms of being able to go out to places. Now, they're not as excited to take a picture with me without the face paint, but they still do, and they still talk to me a little bit. They usually ask the barrage of questions that I'm assuming I'm going to be able to that you're going to ask here shortly, because they're common questions. But I spend a few moments of time with them, give them the smile for a camera, and then get my hoagie.
Oh, yeah. So do you fall into the mascot category, or are you something different?
I tell people that mascots don't talk, and I don't shut up. Uh, one of the reasons why I started to do the face paint for every team was it makes me a little bit more tolerable for watching sports. I only know how to be a fan a certain way, and it's a Philadelphia way. And the face paint now makes it a lot easier because they see the passion before they hear the passion.
Most of the world gets up, they have their coffee, they do the 9 to 5 thing. What's a game day like for you?
So Eagles game day is a very long day, and I'll kind of explain that one since it's we're right in the middle of the season. I will get up somewhere in the neighborhood of around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I do a Sunday morning podcast with the group. I usually come on as a guest and do about a half hour, 45 minutes with them. I'll then go into the bathroom and start the hour long ritual of getting ready. And afterwards, I usually head right down to, you know, to the stadium or to go tailgate and start touching tailgates, is what I call it. I usually hit about 2 or 3 or 4 tailgates each day and then go into the game. And I have some contractual obligations in the stadium that I have to do. And then I go and I just, again, I start taking pictures with everybody because when I am at a game, anytime for the whole day for an Eagles game, I'll take anywhere from like 1,500 to about 5,000 pictures.
Wow. So what are the contractual obligations you have?
So I have a sponsorship with TickPick, and they have the TickPick Landing this year as they are the official sponsor of, or the official ticket sponsor of the Philadelphia Eagles. So I go and I make sure to go to that landing, and I'm like one of the personalities that go there. They usually bring in a player, and then they also have me where everybody lines up and takes a picture and uh, starts to follow me, I guess, and they get to be in the video and all those fun things.
So, Jamie, if you don't mind me asking, I mean, you make a living at this. TickPick is obviously one of the folks that you have a relationship with. May I ask what other relationships you have and what do you have to do for them?
Well, they range. So, for instance, I just did uh, an event with the McDonald House. Yeah, they're celebrating its 50th birthday. I've done things for McDonald's. I have a sponsorship with Garage Beer, as you may know them as well. So there are a number of different things. I usually get requests for like one-offs, like, hey, can you do this video for us as an advertisement. I get appearances. I'll do some cameos. I So there's a number of different ways, and then I also, on the other side of this, I do public speaking where I go to different schools and I'll talk about being living your passion, or where I'll also talk about bullying in schools because that's one of the epidemics that schools run into on a daily basis.
And when you talk about bullying, is there a personal experience that you have? How do you relate to the kids that way?
Well, I feel that everybody's been bullied at one point or another. And right now, most of the schools, when they deal with bullying or they have assemblies that talk about bullying, they bring in police officers. And I just felt that that wasn't really a good representation of what happens when you bully somebody. You don't get arrested, you're not going to go to jail for bullying someone, but it could have long-term effects. And especially with the way social media is, I get tremendous amount of uh, I call them keyboard warriors that like to try to bully you online. And because I have those types of experiences, I'm able to relate that to the kids. And I can relate it all the way down to an elementary level, all the way up to a high school and even post high school into college
And do you give these talks as Jamie or as the Philly sports guy?
as the Philly sports guy.
And what team do you dress up in?
Typically, I dress up as the Eagles.
Hmm.
However, if the Phillies were in the playoffs or doing really well, I could dress up as them as well. I I don't think it matters the sports that I would dress up in. I think it matters that I'm there. The kids know me. I would say that my biggest base is 14 to 23, 24, where most of the kids know who I am. For instance, I had to go drop something off for my son at school today, and as the kids were coming in, there was 4 or 5 of them, and I'm just in a regular sweatsuit, and they're like, "Hey, what's up, Philly sports guy?" So they know me, and they watch on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, and I think it resonates more with them because it's something they can relate to. They see some of the bullying happen when it's either beyond with a different team, or even somebody who just doesn't like that I am doing this as a job. They feel that that's maybe I'm not the person that should represent the face of Philadelphia sports. And I don't think that I do that, but they may feel that way. And I get a tremendous amount of bullying, both from, like I said, other teams and from our own fans. And I think that people see that and they see how I react to that, and it resonates with them.
So, what form or fashion does it take? Say, a fan. I'm sorry they become abusive. What, at a game? I mean, tell me what that looks like.
So during a game, it's usually opposing fans that will start to try to get under my skin, and that's because I'm loud. I I kind of go by these set of rules that I don't curse, I don't sit down, and I don't shut up. So you are stuck with me, and I'm not going to say anything that is negative. I don't ever attack anybody personally. It's always about the team, and I keep it about the play that's happening on the court or the field, or or the rink even, because I love to troll goalies. But and it's always supposed to be fun natured. So when I am bantering maybe with a fan, I keep it fun natured. However, some fans don't know how to banter very well, and they start to take what I'm saying personal, and then they start to personalize that and attack me personally. Once that occurs, I just start to disengage from them, because at that point I understand that they can't figure it out on their own. This is that None of these teams are my mother. I don't have to defend this team's honor. I can keep it fun and keep it positive. If they can't keep it positive, then at that point I have to disengage, because there's kids that are watching. I don't want to set a bad example for any reason. And I always tell people that I'm never going to embarrass myself, my team, or my city ever. And that's not easy to do as a Philadelphia fan, because Philadelphia fans are known to be a raucous bunch.
Anybody ever try to get physical?
Once. One time in Tampa Bay for the playoff game a couple years ago, I had somebody who came at me and tried to headbutt me, and somebody stepped in and was able to quell the situation enough to just say, okay, you go your way and I'm going to go my way, and that was that. But for the most part, even opposing teams know who I am, and they want to take pictures just like everybody else does. They see me all the time and they know what I'm about, because I promote positivity all the time. And it's never you stink because you're a fan of that team. It's your team stinks, or I'm rooting
Hmm.
against your team. And that makes the biggest difference in the world. It's never about the fan, it's always about the team. And like, for instance, the Dallas Cowboys, everybody hates the Dallas Cowboys, and there's always a feeling about their fan specific. I don't ever show that. I don't ever need to. I have plenty of Dallas Cowboys fans, and it's always fun to troll them when they're down in the dumps like they are right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, any Cowboy fans left? Never mind. We don't have to go there. Hey, it's Marc Zumoff. Join me and Philly sports favorite Seth Joyner, Mike Quick, MMA champ Eddie Alvarez, Joe Conklin, Dee Lynam, Matt Cord, Ricky Bowe, and the Cuz, Anthony Gargano. What a lineup. We want you to join us on the Bet Parks team. Bet Parks is the official winning partner of the Philadelphia 76ers and the only casino and sports book that yours truly, Marc Zumoff, recommends and uses. Whether your team scores or not, there's always another way to win on the Bet Parks online casino and sportsbook app. Bet Parks has your seat with a live dealer for all your favorite classic casino games. Right on your phone and wherever you are, the tailgate, the stadium, on your couch. Double down on fourth down. Make downtime fun time. Play live dealer blackjack, craps, roulette, and more while watching the game. Bet on all your favorite sports. Bet the Birds, pro football, and college football. Download the Bet Parks app right now and enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. Play hundreds of exciting online slots. New users download the Bet Parks online casino app and sportsbook and get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. Casino bonus must be wagered. See betparks.com for details. Must be 21 and in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Michigan. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. You play for fun. You love to win. You bet.
Bet Parks.
Jamie, listen, the dress up, the paint up, that's got to take a long time. How long does it take and what's involved?
It takes me about an hour to get ready every game. Some paints are a little bit harder than others, and sometimes I'll do special renditions for different games. I.e., when I went to London, I had the Union Jack painted on my face, and that took about 3 hours to do.
Mm.
Where most times it takes about an hour. Yeah, at the most it could take like an hour and 15 minutes if I'm trying to be very specific. But it's I have it down to a science now. I keep make it very simple. I make lines and then I cut in. It's one of those things where I'm not an artist, and I try to keep it very easy so that I can get it done and get to the game.
Have you noticed any attempts at a Philly sports guy knockoff? Some other fans trying to do it as well?
Not yet. I see the Mohawks come out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
right.
definitely get the Mohawks all the time, but at around Halloween, you start to see a lot of the kids start dressing up as the Philly sports guy, and it really is uh, humbling to me when I start getting a barrage of pictures of people or kids that get dressed up. They wanted to dress up as the Philly sports guy, or you have teachers that dress up as the Philly sports guy. It's it just it amazes me some of the outreach that I have that I don't ever see. Like some of these people I don't know, I may never have even taken a picture with them, but yet they know me well enough and ask me how they get the paint on and paint up as me, either for Halloween or for a costume party or things like that. So it's interesting to see some of the pictures that have come in.
Upwards of 150 events per year. How do you decide what games you're going to?
So the rule is that playoffs always trumps regular season. It would be Eagles first, Flyers, Sixers, Phillies, kind of like in that order. I have done two teams in a day. I've done three teams in a day. I've uh, there are lots of times where I will run home, shower, change, and get repainted up for like a Sixers and Flyers doubleheader
Mm,
and go to both games.
wow. Uh, and the cost of admission, is that on you? Is that the cost of doing business, or do the teams comp you? How does that work?
No, none of the teams comp me at all. I have to get tickets just like everybody else does. I mean, I have different ways of. I have friends that are more than happy to give me tickets to get into the building. And then once I'm in the building, most of the ushers and the team knows me. So I get a little bit of carte blanche where I can go down and take some pictures, or if there's an open seat that's nobody's sitting in, I can go stop there for a little bit and kind of rile up the crowd some. But for the most part, it's on my dime. I have to buy every ticket just like every other fan does.
But I guess if you buy the cheap seat, I would think that a lot of the ushers know you by now. You spot some seat where you're going to get a lot of TV time and all that, and they kind of say, go ahead. The seat's been empty for the last three innings.
Something like that. I don't really pander to a television, like to the camera. The camera seems to find me because of the way that I cheer. I'm always loud. I'm always trying to rile everybody up. And then when you start to hear an Eagles chant from out of somewhere, you kind of look that way, and then you see a guy with painted face and a mohawk. All of a sudden, your focus goes a little bit tighter, and you're like, okay, that's the Philly sports guy. That's where he's at right now. And so camera people do the exact same thing, where a lot of the times I don't even know that the camera is on me. I'm doing my thing and just kind of either doing an Eagles chant or doing a video, and the camera kind of finds me. Likes to find me when we don't do so well, because that's where all the memes come from.
We have a lot more to talk about. How this all started, your coolest and maybe your most embarrassing moment. And can you keep this up, Jamie, for the rest of your life? But first, it is now halftime. And the first part of our halftime is the Garage Beer six pack of questions. It's brought to you by Garage Beer, beer flavored beer. Find some near you at drinkgaragebeer.com. I'll give you a choice between two things, and you just blurt out your answer. Don't think about it, just blurt. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Cheesesteak or soft pretzel?
Cheesesteak.
Center City or South Jersey?
Center City.
Oh boy, here we go. Gritty or Philly fanatic?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I'm sorry.
Philly fanatic.
Wow. Meek Mill or Hall and Oates?
Hall and Oates.
Dr. J or Allen Iverson throwback?
Allen Iverson.
Liberty Bell or Rocky Steps?
Rocky Steps.
The six pack of questions brought to you by Garage Beer, beer flavored beer. Find some near you at drinkgaragebeer.com. I will give you a handful of artists from my music library, and you tell me if you have them or not. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
And by the way, there's going to be a theme here. I'll let you know about the theme if you don't catch on, but here we go. John Fogerty.
No.
Queen.
Yes.
Rolling Stones.
Yes.
Guns N' Roses.
Yes.
Survivor.
Yes.
Did you get a theme here? Do you get the theme? Survivor, Guns N' Roses, Rolling Stones, Queen, John Fogerty.
No, I did not get the theme.
All artists who produce songs about a sport or their stuff is played at sporting events. Survivor is Eye of the Tiger, Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle, Rolling Stones, Start Me Up, Queen, We Are the Champions, and We Will Rock You. And of course, John Fogerty in center field. Put me in, coach.
See, I knew I recognized the name. I just didn't. I was like, I don't have that one on my.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been easy, but as we say in the game show business, thanks for playing. All right, let's go back to the very beginning, Jamie. Where did you grow up, and tell us some of your earliest Philly sports memories?
So I grew up in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. I was originally born in Overbrook and moved to Delaware County probably around 5 or 6 years old. And my dealings with sports goes way back. My mother and my grandmother lived together, and they both worked at the Spectrum.
Hmm.
So I was privileged to be able to get to a lot of games very early in life. Uh, Obviously, the Flyers won the Stanley Cup when I was 3 and 4 and 4 and 5. So, and there were many of the players. Sports was so different back then that my mother and my grandmother worked at the Ovations Club, which was originally the Blue Line Club, and that was right down the way from the locker rooms. So there were plenty of times where I could go in and the players would either come out to the restaurant and say hello to people, or that I was permitted to go down that way and kind of be amongst everybody, of course, with parental guidance. So it was a lot of the different things that I was privileged to be able to be a part of when nobody else really could be. I like my friends didn't have anybody who worked at the Spectrum. So when I was saying how Jimmy and Joe Watson would come over to our house to play pinochle with my mother and my grandmother, and their kids would come play down the basement with me, it was one of those things where it was just normal for me, but I didn't know any different that not everybody had this going on for them. At 14, I started to work at the Spectrum myself as a busboy. So I got to go to those games then. I would work my shift and then I'd go stand at the court or go stand at the where the Zamboni would come in and out and just watch the game from there. And it kind of just grew. How the paint became was about 25 years ago, maybe even longer. I went to an Eagles game and painted my face, and my brother and I would always choose an away game to go to, and for that game, I would get all painted up, and it kind of became a thing. And I want to say about 8 years ago, maybe about 7 years ago, I got recognized, and I had a production company reach out to me to do a commercial, and they said, your energy is amazing. You're like the Philly sports guy. You should see if that name's available. We could start doing social media." And it was. And they says, "Well, if you want to learn, we could teach you." And so I started learning about social media in general. And now 7 years later, I'm still doing it.
The social media part. How did you become an expert, and why did that become so important for you?
You become an expert by just doing it. I got, they said they were going to teach me how to do it. They said, "Okay, here's what you do: make some content and hashtag it." Okay. And so I had to learn how to talk to my phone. And it's so it sounds so funny when you're like, hey, when you talk on phone, but when you look at your phone, it's a whole different experience. And it just took time. I started to do it, and initially it was, a couple of years, or I'm starting to get some traction, and then COVID hit, and it was
Mm.
like, oh, I got into this business because I figured sports would never stop, and now sports has stopped. So at that time I started to really learn and dive in. It was like, now that sports has stopped here and there's nothing going on, people are still going to need content. So I learned how to talk to the phone and actually create these videos and start doing it that way. And then got onto TikTok and learning how to do things quickly, because 20 seconds was really all you needed. If you did any more than that, people were swiping past you. So I learned how to get my point across very quickly, and learned how to do the beginning, middle, and end of a clip, and people started to like it. It took
Hmm.
a little while, but it started to catch on. And uh, now I think with so much negativity that is going on social media, where whether it's politics or whether it's uh, you know this is so much better than this, it's just so much negativity that being positive is something that is few and far between. So I kind of feel that what I do now gives people a break from some of the things that they see on a daily basis that just seem so negative. Because every time you see something negative, it kind of like weighs on you some. And this is supposed to be more lighthearted and fun. And it just shows you that there is two sides to the internet.
So, at what point do you say to yourself, you know what? I don't think I have to clean chimneys anymore. I could actually make money at this.
Recently. Yeah, I'll say that it took a long time to get to this point. It was not simple. I went through a lot of savings. I mean, I have children, I have two kids, 15 and 14, boy and a girl. They like sandwiches. And there's been times where in the process of getting this done, the things were getting so tight. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. It's getting too much. But it seems like when you put a cry out to the universe, sometimes the universe answers the call. And there were times when I was ready to quit and go back to doing masonry work. And I will tell you that picking up rocks and putting them down sucks.
Mm.
It's not an easy job. And so God bless everybody out there that's able to do that. And I still can do it. It's just uh, I wanted to be able to try to do this till I couldn't do it anymore. And every time I says that I can't do this anymore, something would come across my path that would say, "Hey, you are so much more than what you think you are." That I was reaching so many different people that I never thought I was reaching, and that you can't stop doing this. And once you start to get those messages, it's like, okay, well, maybe I can't stop. And eventually, the money will come. It's like it was never about the money initially. But if you want to do this for a living, if you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life, well, you work really hard not to work anymore.
Basketball. Your team down 10, third quarter. They go on a 14-0 run, and Boston calls time. Woo! Love it. Listen, there is no better way to get basketball tickets. Wait, no better way to get tickets for almost anything. I'm talking about sports, concerts, shows. No better way than Game Time. Go to the Game Time app and select your event. First, there are great deals, the best seats, the best prices. In fact, there's a lowest price guarantee, all in pricing, so no guessing, and seat views, so you know where you're sitting before you buy the tickets. And when you're all done buying, Game Time has you covered in two ways: a lowest price guarantee and Game Time ticket coverage. Game Time. For basketball, for sports, for concerts and shows, nothing better than Game Time. GameTime.co or the Game Time app. You'll have a great time with Game Time.
What's the coolest thing that's happened to you since you became the Philly sports guy?
When the Phillies won the NLCS in 2022, John Middleton came out to show and have the fans touch the trophy, and so he had to jump over a fence to do that. So he went to go jump back over the fence. I happened to be standing there, and he knows me obviously because he's like, Jamie, hold this for me as I get over the fence. So there I'm holding the National League champion trophy, and somebody took a picture. Some guy comes up to me and grabs my arm. I have no idea who that guy was. I have no idea what his name is or anything, but he's on my wall now because he was in the picture. But it was one of the coolest moments of having the owner of the Phillies ask me to hold the trophy while he's just jumping over the fence. It was just a really cool moment.
Right. I just wanted to follow up on that. So, are you meeting the players? Are you meeting the coaches?
Yes and no. So when I'm painted up, unless the player has met me outside of the paint, I don't necessarily try to engage them too much. Reason being is that they don't know me personally, and they would need to turn on. They feel like they need to turn on because they look like I'm on. So I don't try to engage them too much unless they know exactly who I am. If they've met me before and they know that I'm just a normal guy who's not like this fanboy who's going to go nuts seeing them and talking to them, most of the time I don't want to talk shop with them. I go to these games. I know what they're dealing with. I know what you know, their work is all about. I would rather deal with them and have a beer with them and say, what else is going on in your life that you guys care about? They're human beings just like everybody else. So it's when I do get to meet the players, uh, it's usually without the paint, and then I explain to them who I am, and then they're like, "Oh my God, I see you everywhere." So it's fun, and I do get in positions. For instance, this weekend I just interviewed Deshaun Jackson and Shady McCoy, and it was Deshaun Jackson had never seen me before, and so it was a little different for him initially till I started to ask some of the questions, and he realized that I'm not trying to set him up. I'm not trying to do something wrong. I just want to be able to have him engage, and it was a really great interview.
We try to be Sixers centric here at Fresh 24. What's the coolest thing that's happened to you at a Sixers game?
It it's always really cool when the camera finds me and there's an audible cheer. But I want to say the best moment I had at a Sixers game was during COVID, and
Hmm.
they were playing the Washington Wizards, and I was just getting on Westbrook. And I don't do anything rude. I'm not. He didn't want to be called Westbrick, and I didn't go that route. I just was. I kept doing like a Daryl chant, like Westbrook, Westbrook, all game long, and it affected him. Unfortunately, it was the same game that he got the popcorn dropped on him. It wasn't me that dropped the popcorn, but it was funny because he was walking into the locker and he was just favoring his ankle, and then he got the popcorn dropped on him and his ankle was fine. So it kind of just said to me that it was my cheering that affected him that badly. And now when I see him, when I go to the games that he's playing, I go, "Hey Westbrook," and he remembers, and he like he will definitely like say like kind of do something to let him know that he hears me.
J- Jamie, you're a byproduct of the fact that we love sports. We care a lot about it. And I'm not just talking about Philly people. I'm talking about sports being a worldwide thing. Why do we pack the stadiums? Why do millions more watch sports on TV?
It is a way to be able to see what we could become and an escape from our everyday lives. I feel that people want to see greatness, and there is so few ways to be able to see it in everyday life. And uh, uh, most people go through their days, it's humdrum, and they have to get up, they go to work, They come home, they eat, and go to bed, and get up and go to work the next day. And sports gives us a way to release some of the energy that, like the excitement. It gives us something to get excited about. It gives us some of the emotions that we don't have during the day at work. And I feel like that's what drives us. I feel like that between watching greatness happen, and it doesn't happen every game, obviously, it's something that is few and far between, but you want to say that you were there. You want to say that you saw it and you saw that happen and you were a part of it. And it makes you feel a part of the community because everybody saw it at that point and they remember it and they know where they were and they got all excited the exact same way you did. It's a way of sharing community with each other. And I feel like that there's not many ways to do that other than with sports.
Being the Philly sports guy, can you keep this up for the rest of your life?
I hope so. I think about that all the time. Am I going to? I'm 52 years old. Am I going to be 10 years still painting my face? And my thoughts are, I hope so. I as long as my body will allow me to do this, I'm going to do this. Are there? Yeah, may I do it less in 10 years? Maybe I'll go to certain games without the face paint on. But as long it's not about me, it's about how everybody feels when they see me. And I think that's what's most important. And people, when I'm out there and I don't have my paint on, people are like, "Well, where's the paint?" And it's like, "Well, I took the day off today," or something like that. Um, but it makes them feel good, and that's what this is all about. It's not about just, oh, I need attention or whatever. I have plenty of attention. I don't. Most of the time, I want to be left alone when I'm not in face paint and coming down off of a game because it does take a lot out of me. But it's when they get all excited and when I hear that, oh, this kid loves you, he got a signature from you and he's got it up on a shrine. And it's like, I'm just a guy who paints his face and goes to sporting events. I'm nothing special, but they look at it as so special. And it's the 30 seconds of time that I may not remember that they may never forget that makes this all worthwhile.
Is this whole thing surreal that you can actually do what you just said, get dressed up, paint yourself, go to a game, and ostensibly make a living at it? And oh, by the way, this isn't anything you ever planned. It's not like when I was a kid, I said to myself, I think I would like to be the announcer for the Sixers one day, and it actually happened. You didn't go to school for this, it just sort of happened. Is this whole thing like surreal to you?
A little bit, a little bit. When I first got started off into this, my mother, who was on her deathbed at the time, she had COPD and emphysema and was given at that point, like a few months to live. Uh, I talked to her, and it was just when I just got recognized, and I started to tell her that I was considering doing this. And she turned to me and she goes, when you were 10 years old, you asked me, how come people don't get painted up for the Flyers or the Phillies or the Sixers? Why is it only seem that people get painted up for football? And I was like, really? I asked you that? What did you say? She goes, I don't know. Go outside and play, which was a normal response from parents back then. So it's funny that she brought that up to me, that it was like, maybe this is something that could have been done even back then. I didn't think this could happen in any other place other than Philadelphia. And it just, now that I'm doing it, yes, it's very surreal. It amazes me that the excitement that I can garner, that there'll be times where I'm leaving a game and there will be a line of like 50 to 100 people waiting in line to take a picture with me. And that's stuff that I never could have imagined. I never would have thought that people are that interested in taking a picture with me, that they're going to wait in line after a game instead of leaving the stadium. They're waiting to take a picture with me. Is very surreal and very humbling.
His name is Jamie Paye. He is the Philly sports guy. Delco born. Look for him at a Phillies, Flyers, Eagles, 76ers, or Union game at some point in the future. Jamie, thanks for joining us on Fresh 24.
Thank you for having me, Marcus. It's been a great experience.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of Fresh 24. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts.
Check out our friends over at Philadelphia Sports Nation, a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. PHLSportsNation.com. Philadelphia Sports Nation, PHL Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience.